Good afternoon, guys.
Good afternoon.
Am I audible clearly? All right. Let us start then. So what we'll do today is I am not going to keep this waiting room on because I don't want disturbance in between. Okay. So we'll wait for a couple of minutes, then we can start because only 35 have joined. We are expecting around 50 students today. Have you done IDT before? Have you guys done it before? I don't think so. Okay. Anyway, so we'll start from the basic. I'll assume that you guys don't know anything. I'll start right from the scratch and we'll cover whatever is there in your syllabus. First, we'll cover that. We'll cover everything. Okay. And I'll also be taking numericals. That is your practical problems. Okay. So the thing is that I have also prepared notes for you guys. Can you see the notes on the screen? Is it visible?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. So one way is I can read out the notes, but I don't think many people will comfortable with it. Or otherwise, what I can do is I can type what I'm explaining. Okay. And we'll go step by step. Both options are available. Huh? So let us say if I say what is the concept of indirect taxes, right? So what I'll do, I'll just keep on typing. You guys can take the notes along with me. You guys can just see it. All right. You guys can whatever ask me doubt. That is one way to do it, or we can go by the other way. I can explain you through the notes. Which one is comfortable for you guys?
First option.
Writing it on the word pad, that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because then it will be as if I am writing on a whiteboard. I can write on the whiteboard also. Zoom has that facility of writing on the whiteboard, but I don't want to do that because this notes can be saved and you guys can use it for the last minute revision. Okay. You guys can use it for the last minute revision. All right. So let's try this today. Okay. And if there is any problem, we can discuss it. We can discuss it further. All right. Let us start now. We have enough participants. We have 43 participants till now. Okay, so taxation. Taxation means what? Government is going to collect revenue. Government is going to collect revenue from the people. There are two types of taxes. One is your direct tax, and what is the another one which we are going to study is our indirect tax. Okay, so what is the difference, guys? What is direct tax? What is indirect tax? Tell me. Who do we charge direct tax on?
House property and
Okay.
on earnings income.
Okay. Okay. See, direct tax is charged on a person. Okay. Direct tax is charged on a person, whereas indirect tax, IDT, I'll say IDT, is charged on goods and services. Goods and services, irrespective of whoever is the person. Doesn't matter who the person is. Irrespective of person, I'll charge indirect taxes on the goods and service. Okay. Example, a simple example I'll take. Okay. So direct tax, different person equal to different income, right? Different persons, different income. So the tax will be different. Tax will be different. Example, Ambani earns a lot. He pays a lot of tax, correct? I earn comparatively lower. So I'll pay lower tax. Obviously, I'll pay lower tax on income. So income tax is a direct tax. It will be charged on a person. It will differ from person to person, right? But indirect taxes, it does not care who the person is. So me and Ambani both go to the market and we purchase a laptop. Do you think indirect taxes, GST, will be different for the both of us? Yes or no? GST will be same. Indirect taxes will remain same. Doesn't matter how rich or how poor a person is. Okay, indirect taxes will always be charged on goods and services. It does not care who is the person on whom we are charging the tax. That's the main difference between direct tax and indirect tax. That's why direct tax is always thought from the point of view of, the point of view over here is always income. Point of view is always income of a person, income of a person, right? And here in indirect taxes, the point of view for indirect taxes is always goods and services. Goods and services. That is in short, your expenditure. In short, your expenditure. So direct tax will be levied on income. Indirect taxes will be levied on your expenditure. The way you expend on your goods and services. That is where I will try to charge the indirect tax. Basic difference clear, everyone? What is the direct tax and indirect tax?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If there is any issue, you can just interfere. You can ask me whatever is the doubt. Okay, simple doubt, silly doubt. And when we do the numericals, you might have calculation doubt. Okay, you can ask, you can stop and ask me, and I can explain it once again. No problem. All right. So now let us go into details of indirect tax. What you guys are going to study here is indirect taxes. So customs and GST, both type of indirect taxes are there in your syllabus, right? We are going to study both of them. Okay, so those are the examples of indirect tax. Can you give me an example of direct tax? Simple.
Property tax.
Income tax. Income tax is a direct tax. Income tax is going to be a direct tax. Simple, because it is on the income of a person, right? That's why we directly charge on the income. Goods and services. So GST, goods and services tax, and customs. Okay. In some cases, there is still excise duty. In some cases, I'll discuss that later. Okay. These are the examples of indirect taxes. They are all charged on the goods and service, right? And this income tax is always charged to the person, to the income of the person. Okay, done. So that's the basic difference. That's the basic difference between DT and IDT. So now what we'll do is we'll start with IDT. We'll start with indirect taxes. I guess you guys are done with direct tax in the last sem. But anyway, we don't need any concepts of direct tax from there. Okay, we don't need any concepts of direct tax over here. IDT has its own concepts. IDT will have its own definitions. Okay, so whenever I say indirect taxes, there will always be some kind of an act, right? So GST has its own act, CGST Act, SGST Act, okay, etc. We'll see that. Customs has its own act, right? Custom has its own act. Excise duty has its own act, right? So we have different acts for different types of indirect taxes. So indirect taxes is very simple. Okay, they don't have one combined act for it. Okay, so for example, if you are into imports and exports, you will have to pay customs, right? So for that, customs act will be applicable. If you are buying or selling goods in India, GST will be applicable, right? So these are the examples of indirect taxes. All these taxes are on goods and services. Okay, let us start then. So today we'll start goods and services tax. Okay, that is your GST. That is what we are going to start today. Customs, I'll take it later on, because to understand customs, a bit knowledge of GST is always going to be helpful. A bit of knowledge of GST is always going to be helpful. All right, let us start then. Now, when I say GST, when I say goods and service tax, okay, it is an act. It is an act, right? So it will always have sections. It will always have different sections. For any act, always section 1 is about the act. Section 1 is about the act. Section 2 is definitions given in the act. Okay, and your actual act starts from section 3. The actual act will start from section 3. So today we'll talk a little bit about the act. Okay, then we'll see a basic definitions. I'm not going to teach all the definitions today itself. It will be very boring. Okay, so we'll look at some of the definitions, and then third part, I'll directly start with section 7, that is supply. What is the meaning of supply? Because goods and service tax, the entire GST, this entire GST concept is based on the concept of supply. If you understand supply properly, okay, your entire GST will be easily understandable. Okay, so let us see a bit about section 1, about the act. Let us see a few definitions that we'll need today, and then let us directly start with our main concept of GST, that is supply. All right. Any doubt till here, guys?
So what does section 3 contain?
Section
Section 3.
Section 3 will be levy of GST, levy, L-E-V-I, levy. That we'll see. We are going to cover all of the sections, right? We are going to cover all of the sections. But the thing is that we have to go logically, right? Why GST is charged? I'll start from that. Okay, so that comes under section 7, supply. Okay, and then we'll go back to section 3. Then we'll go back to section 3. All sections are interrelated. Okay, so when you learn one section, you will also learn other sections. Okay, so now a bit about the act. We need to understand this. We need to understand a bit about the act, because that will help us to understand the overall concept of GST. That will understand the overall concept of GST. So now, like I said before, GST is charged on what? GST is charged on goods and services, as the name suggests. Goods and services tax. So GST is charged on goods and services. So when I say it is charged on goods and services, do I mean, is it charged on manufacture of goods? Is it charged on purchase of goods? Is it charged on sale of goods? Okay. Is it charged on transfer of goods? What do you guys think? On what basis do we charge GST? What is the basis on which GST should be charged?
Sale of goods.
No, it will be all of them. It will be all of them. That's why we don't use a single word, right? And instead we use the word supply of goods and services. Whenever there is supply of goods and services, doesn't matter what is the nature of the supply. Okay, whenever there is supply, there will be GST. There will be GST. Correct. So supply can be in the nature of manufacture. It can be in the nature of purchase. It can be in the nature of sale, transfer of goods. Okay. Even extinguishment of goods. Okay. If I'm going to destroy the goods, still it is one kind of a supply. Okay. So supply definition, understanding the whole concept of supply becomes very important. That's why I said today I'll start with section 7. Okay. Because whenever there is supply, there will be GST. Okay, so this is our golden rule in the entire GST Act. This is our golden rule. Whenever there is supply, there will be GST. So does it mean no supply equal to no GST? Everyone agrees? Okay, so if there is no supply, there will be no GST at all. That's why we need to learn what is the concept of supply. All right, is this clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Let's go ahead then. Okay, we are still talking about basics of GST. Yeah? We're still talking about section 1 about the act. I have not yet started teaching what is the concept of supply. That I'll do in some time. Okay, now next. Do you guys know, I think you guys are paying GST, right? You guys are paying GST in one way or the other. So let us say if you eat in a restaurant, do you pay GST?
Yes, sir.
Correct. Which GST do you pay? Which GST do you pay? Have you ever seen it? Seen the bill? Seen the invoice?
SGST and CGST.
Good. You pay CGST and SGST. Okay. So see, there are many types of GST. I'll write them and then I'll again take this example. Okay. So we are going to look at 4 types of GST, right? First is CGST. Okay. Second is SGST. CGST is central government, for central government. SGST is for the state government. Then what must be UTGST?
Union territories.
Correct. It will be for union territory. And there is also this concept of IGST. What can I stand for?
Interstate.
International.
Interstate or international?
Interstate.
It will be interstate. It will not be international. There is no concept of international GST. It will be interstate. It will be interstate. So we'll see. We'll see. What is CGST, SGST, UTGST, and IGST? This will be again part of section 1 about the act. Again, part of section 1 about the act. All right. So let us take an example. Okay. So now, right, for now, I am using the word supply. What is supply? You don't know right now. Okay. That we are going to see in detail. Okay. So let us take example. Mr. A of Maharashtra, because we are in Maharashtra, I am taking the example of Maharashtra. Okay. Mr. A of Maharashtra supplied goods. I am saying supplied. Okay. Supplied goods to Mr. B of Maharashtra. Okay. And these goods are liable. Liable means it will be charged to GST. These goods are liable under GST. Let us say I'm just taking a hypothetical example, 18%. GST of 18%. So can I say both buyer and seller, both are in Maharashtra? Both are in the same state?
Yes.
Correct. So this will be called as what? This will be called as intrastate supply. This will be called as an intrastate supply. Supply within the same state. So this is supply within same state. Right? Now on this thing, which type of GST? How will this 18% be collected? You guys tell me.
When
Total.
the sale of goods takes place between when Mr. A sells it, at that time he'll collect 18% and he pays it to the government, Mr. A.
Okay, but 18% GST will be collected as 9% will go to central government and remaining 9% will go to state government. So when you collect a GST of 18%, this is the rule. Okay, whenever 18% GST is collected and this GST is collected within the same state, it is collected within the same state. So it is an intrastate supply. So if the rate of GST is 18%, 9% will go to central government and 9% will go to state government. See if this is clear, guys.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now Mr. A of, let us say, Pondicherry. Why Pondicherry? Why I'm taking the example of Pondicherry?
It's a union
Yes.
territory.
Correct. It is a union territory. Supplied goods to Mr. B of Pondicherry. Mr. B of Pondicherry. Correct. Again, can I say this is intrastate only?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct. But instead of intrastate, it is better to use the word it is within the same union territory. It is within the same union territory. Correct. Let us say GST rate is 18%. GST rate is 18%. How will the seller collect the GST? You guys tell me now. How is this 18% GST shown?
So 9% UTGST and 9% CGST.
Perfect. 9% will be CGST and 9% will be UTGST. Simple.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now example 3. So in short, in case of intrastate and intra-union territory, what we collect? We collect CGST and SGST or UTGST. Okay. If the sale is within the same state, right? If the sale is within the same state or if the sale is within the same union territory, you will collect CGST for sure. And you can either collect SGST or you can collect UTGST. Okay. Now, if it is an interstate sale, we will collect IGST. We will collect interstate goods and service tax. We will collect interstate sale. We will collect IGST. Okay. There is no concept of SGST now. There is no concept of SGST now. See if you understood the difference between intrastate and interstate.
Yes, sir.
No problem. Now, see the next question. Huh? See the next question, guys. Mr. A purchased goods from Mr. B of USA. Mr. A of India. Mr. A of India purchased goods from Mr. B of USA. Now, is it intrastate, interstate, or is it internation?
Internation.
Indonesian.
This is internation. So, should we collect GST now?
No customs.
Sure. Yes. Which tax should I collect?
Custom.
Custom tax.
Just customs? Customs only?
There's one more tax at the
Yes, go ahead.
So if it's an input for the business of Mr. A in India, then maybe we'll have to pay GST.
Which GST?
PGST?
No, we will pay IGST. So if you are purchasing, if you are importing, so I'll not say internation, I'll just use the word import. Import of goods and services. Import of goods and services, you pay customs duty. That is basic custom duty. BCD is the basic custom duty. And you will also have to pay IGST. Even though IGST is interstate, okay, still on case of import also you'll have to pay IGST. See if this is clear. That's why everywhere I use the word supply. I have not used purchase, sale, manufacture, transfer. I'm just using the word supply. Supply can be purchase, supply can be sale, supply can be transfer, supply can be exchange. Understood the different types of GST? Now, next, if I'm going to export goods and services, if I'm going to sell goods and services to Mr. B of USA. In the above case, I had purchased goods from Mr. B of USA. Now I'm going to sell goods to Mr. B of USA. Which GST should I collect, or which taxes should I collect?
GST. That will be IGST and
No tax, because government wants to encourage exports, right? Government of India wants to encourage people to export more and more. So if export is also taxable, people will say we'll rather sell it in India. Okay, so if you sell in India, you will have to collect GST. But if you sell outside India, you don't have to collect any kind of GST. So export is always, I can say, exempted from taxes. It is always going to exempted. We'll be using specific terminologies. We'll be using specific terminologies. So in case of export, I'm going to get exemption from taxes. See if you understood the basics of GST. What is intrastate? What is interstate? What is intra union territory? What is import and what is export? Any doubt till here, guys? Yes, anyone, any doubt? Let us move ahead then. If there is any doubt, let me know. If there is any doubt, let me just check the chat also. Okay, I think no doubts in the chat so far. So now we will see some definitions. We'll see some definitions. Okay. So first, the first very important definition will be. Go ahead.
What if Mr. A of Pondicherry sold to Mr. B of Maharashtra?
We'll see that. Then that time what happens is there is this concept of place of supply, okay, and location of the supply. Okay, so if there is interstate, right, if there is interstate or inter-union territory, then that time we'll have to study this concept of place of supply and location of the supplier. And on basis of that, we will decide what is the place of supply, and then we'll decide which tax to collect. There's a whole chapter for this.
All right, okay.
Okay. So now definitions. Definition is your taxable territory. Taxable territory. That is, for example, we say GST is a tax in India, right? GST is a tax in India. So when I say India, what does India mean over here?
The territory in which GST is applicable.
So India, should I include all states, or are any states are exempted? Are there any states which don't fall under GST?
No, sir.
Correct. So India means all states and all union territories. Correct. So that will include now pay attention, guys, include entire land. Correct. Entire land of India. What about waters? If someone, let us say, if someone is doing a oil extraction between India and Sri Lanka, if someone is doing oil extraction between India and Sri Lanka, and the sale is happening between India and Sri Lanka, what will happen? Does it come under India? So that's why there should be no, there should be no, what I can say, no cases, right? So that's why a definition has been given. It is said India includes Indian land, Indian territorial waters, right? Indian land, India will include Indian land and Indian territorial waters. How far is Indian territorial waters? How far is Indian territorial waters? Anyone knows?
So 12 nautical
27 nautical miles.
24.
12 nautical miles or 24 nautical miles?
24 nautical.
12.
12 nautical miles. Okay, Indian territorial waters is 12 nautical miles. Beyond that is customs water. Beyond that is customs water up to 24 nautical miles. So for GST purpose, like I said, each act will have its own definition. So for the purpose of GST, the concept of India is different. For the purpose of customs, the concept of India is different. So here India means Indian land, Indian territorial waters, that is up to 12 nautical miles. Okay, land is measured in miles. Okay, water is measured in 12 nautical miles. Okay, and this will be including all rivers, seabed, etc. Okay, including all rivers, seabed, etc. Whatever falls within 12 nautical miles, that will be our taxable territory. That will be our taxable territory. Okay, so any activity involving supply, within the taxable territory, okay, will fall under the ambit of GST. Okay, will fall under our GST Act. See if this is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next concept comes the concept of taxable person. Okay. Now, what do you mean by person? What do you mean by a person? So person covers individual, okay, Hindu undivided family, HUF, partnership firms, company, LLP, okay, all kind of businesses, right? It will have all kind of businesses, cooperative society, okay, etc. Okay, so any kind of person which can start a business, that will be a taxable person. And there is a difference between taxable person and registered person. That we will see. This definition we'll see when we do registration for GST. That we'll see when we do the concept of registration for GST. All right. So right now we for today we'll only need the concept of what is the concept of taxable person and what is the concept of taxable territory. Okay. So now I explained a bit about GST section 1, a little bit about GST, and section 2 some definitions I have explained. Okay. What is the taxable territory? What is the taxable person? Now we will start with the actual concept of GST. Okay. Okay. Any doubt till here, guys? Anyone has any doubt till here? Yes or no?
So what was that customs thing you said, up to 24 nautical
See.
miles?
So for example, let us say this is the Indian land. I'm just taking example. This is the Indian land. Okay. Up to 12 nautical miles, whatever water is there, up to 12 nautical miles, this is the water. Okay. This is Indian territorial waters. This is Indian territorial waters, ITW. Okay. And so this is up to 12. This is up to 12 nautical miles. Okay. And whatever you can see this annotation I'm doing on the screen, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And from Indian land up to 24 nautical miles, up to 24 nautical miles from Indian land, it is our Indian customs water. Is our Indian customs water. And beyond that, it is not the concept of India. So for example, if some of you is caught beyond 24 nautical miles in case of smuggling, you are smuggling goods into India, but you have been caught outside of 24 nautical miles. You have been caught around 27 nautical miles. Will you be liable to pay fine and penalty under Indian Customs Act?
No.
No, because you are not covered under India. This is international waters. Anything beyond 24 nautical miles will be international waters. Okay, international laws will apply. Correct. So if you want to run away from India, you need to make sure that you are running outside of 24 nautical miles. Okay. So this area is under customs, right? This area is totally under customs. Okay. And up to 12 nautical miles is what we need under GST. So GST is applicable only till 12 nautical miles, and then Customs Act will be further 12 miles. Understood now?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. So now let us focus on the concept of GST. Okay, this is where we start our actual learning. So till now, what I was said was basics. What I was said was basic. Any doubt in intrastate, interstate, international? Everyone has understood that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If there is any doubt, let me know. I can explain. Okay. If there is any doubt, let me know. I can explain.
So the concept of GST will come under section 3 now, or how is it?
So right now, concept of GST, that is the concept of supply. I am teaching the concept of supply that will come under section 7. Okay. Because see, like I said, no supply, no GST. Finished. The concept of charging of GST will come if there is a supply, right? If there is a supply, then only I'll charge GST. And then I'll see section 3. Okay. How to charge GST, I'll see in section 3. But whether to charge GST or not depends upon whether there is supply or not. So logically, step 1, any business, the first logical step is whether whatever I am selling, purchasing, manufacturing, trading, correct, does it fall under the concept of supply? If it is supply, then only GST is applicable. And if it is not a supply, I don't need to worry about GST. I don't need to worry about GST at all then. Okay, understood what we are studying?
Yes.
All right. So what is supply? Now we have to see what is supply. This is very important, because see, if you understand this, and if there is no way that this one specific transaction can be treated as supply, you don't need to do anything about GST. You don't need to register. You don't need to collect. You don't need to pay. You don't need to do anything. It is that simple. But if you fall under supply, then you will have to go further and see other sections. All right. So there are conditions which talk about supply. Okay. The transaction will be treated as supply only if the following conditions are satisfied. Only if the following conditions are satisfied. So first of all, supply should be of goods and services. Supply should be of goods and services. Okay. If it is goods, if it is services, then only it will be treated as supply. If it is neither goods nor services, I'll give an example. Neither goods nor services. Okay. So what you are selling does not come under goods, does not come under services, then there is no supply. If there is no supply, there will be no GST. See if you understood the first rule, guys. Okay. So what I am supplying should be either it should be coming under goods or it should be coming under services. So for that, now I need to see what is the concept of goods and what is the concept of services. Okay. Act has defined everything. Act has defined everything. What comes under goods, what does not come under goods, what comes under services, what does not come under services. Everything has been explained. Okay. So goods means every kind of movable property. Every kind of movable property will be treated as goods. Okay. Whatever you are selling, if it comes under movable property, it will be treated as goods, other than money and securities. Other than money and securities. Other than money and securities. So if you are dealing in the business of money exchange, if you are dealing in the business of securities transactions, okay, on that thing, they will not be considered as goods. Okay, they will not be considered as goods. So there will be no supply and there will be no GST. So this is important. Other than monies and securities will be important. So any kind of movable property will always be treated as goods. Any kind of movable property is always treated as goods. Okay. But if you're dealing in money transactions as in money exchange, okay, foreign currency exchange, and if you are dealing in securities, then there is a separate tax for that. It does not come under GST. It will not come under GST. See if you understood, guys, the concept of goods.
Yes, sir.
So for example, a bank is, I'll give a simple example. A bank is giving loan of rupees 10 lakhs to Mr. A. Loan of rupees 10 lakhs to Mr. A. Will this be considered as supply? Yes or no?
No, sir, because it's
Why not?
dealing in money. It's dealing in money.
Correct. It is actual money that we are dealing with. It is the actual money that has been supplied. When you take a loan, you get money credited in your account. Correct. So bank is giving a loan of rupees 10 lakh to Mr. A. So this does not what I can say, fall under goods. Neither does it fall under services. Neither does it fall under services. Okay. So there will be no supply. Since it is neither goods nor service, there will be no supply. No supply means no GST. Simple. This example of goods is clear now, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I'll give one more example, guys. I'll give one more example. Listen to it carefully. Bank is giving a loan of rupees, same example, 10 lakhs, loan of rupees 10 lakhs to Mr. A, and the processing fee of the bank for this loan is 1,500 rupees. will there be GST? Will there be GST? You guys tell me.
Yes, sir.
On which amount?
1500.
Correct. On 10 lakh, still there is no GST because 10 lakh is still considered under money. Correct. But the processing fee of the bank, it will be a service, right? Because anything apart from money and securities will either be considered as goods or it will be considered as service. So this processing fee of the bank of 1500, on that we will collect GST because that will fall under service. Service means supply, supply means GST. See if both examples are clear. Okay. Let me see what is the chat. All right. No doubts in the chat as well. Done. So that's the whole definition of goods. So my first condition, the first condition to satisfy supply, the first condition for a transaction to be treated as supply is that supply should be of goods and services. Okay. If it is neither goods nor services, no supply equal to no GST. All right. And services will be what? Anything other than goods, anything other than goods and money and securities will be treated as service, will be treated as service. So services does not have a specific exclusive definition. What is not goods will be considered as service. Okay. And so for both of them, goods and service both do not include money and securities. For everything else, there will be GST. There will be GST. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in the same condition, guys, in the same condition. However, government has also given a specific list of goods and services which do not fall under GST, which do not fall under GST. Number one, alcohol. Okay, alcohol, selling of alcohol will not fall under GST. Okay, it will be state level decision, right? It will be state level excise. It will be a state level excise. So selling of pure alcohol is not GST, but if a restaurant is selling alcohol and they are charging you service charges, then GST will be there on the service charge. See if it makes sense. Second, petroleum. Petroleum will not be covered under GST. That is what people are fighting about, right? That please cover petroleum under GST so that it will get cheaper. How GST makes commodities cheap, that we'll see. How GST makes commodity expensive also, that we'll see. Okay. Then electricity. Electricity also does not fall under GST. It will not fall under GST. Okay, rest everything. So in short, when I talk about condition number one, that supply is only when it is goods and services. So what is goods, what is not coming under goods and services? I can also take money and securities over here. So anything apart from these four, apart from these four is supplied, there will be GST. Anything apart from these four things is supplied, there will be GST. Condition one done. Any doubt? Any doubt in condition one? Guys, anyone has any doubt in condition one? Yes or no? All right. Condition two. All these conditions are important. I'll ask anyone later on. I'll ask anyone later on what is this condition. Okay. Supply should be for furtherance of business. Supply should be for furtherance of business or in course of business or it should be in course of business. Then only it will be treated as supply. Okay. If it is for personal purpose, if it is for personal purpose, then it is not called as supply. It will be, there will be no GST on that. Okay. If it is for personal purpose, then it will be not treated as supply. It will be not considered as GST. It will be not considered as GST. Okay. So whenever I make any supply, it should always be for the furtherance of the business. It should always be for the furtherance of the business. See if this is clear. Example, I'll take an example. Okay. I'll take an example so that for each condition, I'll give an example, guys. For each condition, I'll give an example. And if you still don't understand, you can ask me for another example. Okay. You can ask me for another example. All right. So let us say example, Mr. A purchased goods from, let us say, Mr. B purchased goods from, or let us say not Mr. A. I'll take an example of a company. Infosys purchased goods from Mr. B, a regular supplier, okay, and paid GST. Infosys purchased goods from Mr. B, a regular supplier, and paid GST. And so, and instead of goods, I'll take it more specific. Purchased computers from Mr. B, a regular supplier, and paid GST. Correct. And these computers were gifted to their employees. These computers were gifted. Gifted means again supplied only, na? Gifted means again supplied. Gifted means again it will be supplied. That's why I said we are not going to use the word purchase, sale, transfer. Okay. So Infosys purchased computers from Mr. B, a regular supplier, and and Infosys paid GST. Correct. Infosys paid GST. Right. Now, what Infosys is going to do with the computers? These computers were further gifted to their employees or given to their employees for use. Now, should the employer, the question is, should the employer collect GST? Should the employer collect GST over here?
Yes.
Yes. Why?
It's
But so
supplied.
they're not selling, right?
They are not selling it, no? They are not selling it, and moreover, it is not in the furtherance of business. Infosys, the business of Infosys is to sell softwares to the clients. The business of the Infosys is to sell software to the clients. The Infosys of business is not selling or giving computers to its employees. Okay. So this is not under the furtherance of business. This is not under the furtherance of business. So there will be no GST. See if this is clear. You have to see what is the business of the company. Then only you can say whether GST will be collected in the further state. So see, Mr. B, when Mr. B sold computers to Infosys, will Mr. B collect GST? Mr. B is a computer trader.
Yes.
Mr. B is a computer trader. He sold computers to Infosys. Mr. B will collect GST. That is, Infosys will pay GST to Mr. B. Now, once that is done, now what what Infosys is doing? Infosys is giving these computers further to its employees. Correct? The main business of Infosys is selling softwares to the clients, not giving computers to its employees. Right? So even if Infosys sells the computers to its employees, still it will not be treated under GST. So let us say Infi purchased your MacBooks. Infi purchased MacBooks of 100,000 rupees. Okay. And these computers were, let us say, not gifted, were sold to its employees employees for rupees 60,000, for rupees 60,000. So this is not a gift also. This is not a gift also, right? So what Infosys is doing? It is taking computers of 1 lakh and it is giving to its employees for a discounted amount, right? So this is not for the furtherance of business. So here employer-employee relationship does not come under furtherance of business. So here no GST will be collected. No GST will be collected. See if this is clear. Any doubt in this example?
No, sir.
Okay, but now for this specific example, government found out that people are taking disadvantage of this condition. Employer-employee relationship, correct? Employer-employee relationship does not account to supply, correct? But companies are taking disadvantage of this. So government has put in a condition. Government has put in a limit. Okay. Gift from employer to employee up to 50,000 rupees in 1 year. 1 year is not covered under GST, correct? But any gift above 50,000 will be covered under GST. Just so that people should not take disadvantage. Of this. Okay, but that is okay. Even if you don't remember this, that's okay. Okay, so I'll just put it in a very light font, light color. Okay, but understood the second condition, supply should be for furtherance of business. Supply should be for furtherance of business or in course of the business. It should not be for personal purpose. It should not be for employees' purpose. That should not happen. Okay. So this is the second condition. If it is not for the furtherance of business, it will not be treated as supply, and no supply equal to no GST. No supply is equal to no GST. All right. So right now what we are looking at different conditions of supply. We are looking at different concept of supply. Section 7. We are looking at what are the conditions which will say whether transaction falls under supply or not. So first condition was supply should be of goods and services. Second condition was supply should be for furtherance of business. Okay. Third condition, condition 3. What are we doing today, guys? What are we doing today? Section 7 supply. No supply, no GST. That's why I want to see what is the concept of supply. Okay. Condition 3 is that supply should be for a consideration. Supply should be for a consideration. Okay. If there is no consideration, at all, okay, then it is not a supply. If you are giving it further free of cost, there will be no supply. Okay. Example, a simple example I can say is sample sale. Goods sold for sample. We are actually selling the goods, right? But these goods are sold as what? As a sample, right? Free of cost. Will we charge GST then? No, because there is no consideration. 18% of what amount? 18% of zero amount. 18% of zero amount will be zero. Okay. So if supply is not done for a consideration, there will be no GST. No consideration equal to no GST. Is this clear? Okay. However, government has again put some exceptions. See, people try to, find loopholes in the act. They try to find a way in which they will not be able to pay GST, right? So for every condition, government will give some or the other exception. Okay. So here the exception is stock transfer from head office to branch. Okay. Stock transfer from head office to branch should it be treated as supply? Yes or no?
So if it helps in value addition,
If it helps in value, let us say it does not help in value addition, then so HO had purchased goods worth 1 lakh. HO purchased goods from a supplier worth 1 lakh, and it just transferred the entire 1 lakh as it is at cost price.
so it's charging a transfer price, right?
No transfer price has been charged. 1 lakh goods, the goods were worth 1 lakh. They are transferring it to branch for 1 lakh. Still there will be supply and still there will be charge of GST. Because what companies do, they try to go around this entire concept and they try to evade tax. They try to evade, that is, they try to fraud the government out of tax. So what the government says, even if stock is transferred from HO to branch without any consideration, still it will be considered as supply and you will have to pay GST on that. You will still have to pay GST on that. Okay. So certain exceptions are given. Certain exceptions are given. So that is the first exception. Okay. So we are looking at conditions. We are looking at conditions. What are the conditions where a transaction will be treated as supply? Condition 1 was supply should be of goods and services. Second condition was supply should be for the furtherance of business. And third condition, supply should be for consideration. Okay. But there are some exceptions to this rule, that even if supply is not for consideration, still there will be charge of GST. Understood the first exception?
When the headquarters must be purchasing the stock, they must have paid GST already, right? So when they're transferring it again, why do they pay GST?
Okay. I'll take an example to clear this. Okay. Let us say I'll draw it over here. Okay. So this is a supplier. This is a raw material supplier. Okay. Can you see the drawing on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Raw material supplier has supplied goods to HO. HO is the head office. And the amount is 1 lakh. Okay. So raw material supplier has transferred goods of 1 lakh to head office. Okay. Now the head office is transferring. So this was sale. This was actual sale. This was actual sale. And the actual value was 1 lakh. Okay. Now head office is transferring the same amount to a branch. Head office is transferring the same amount to a branch. Correct. And here it is just a mere transfer. Okay. It is just a mere transfer. All right. And this transfer is again for. So in short, there is no extra addition, right? 1 lakh goods, I've just sent it. I have not sold it. I've just sent it without consideration to the branch, right? And branch is going to sell it further to customer. Branch is going to sell it further down to the customer. Where did this thing go? Annotation. All right. So branch is selling further to its customer. Now, what happens here? Will HO pay tax to raw material supplier? Will HO pay tax to raw material supplier? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Will branch pay GST to HO?
Yes.
Still yes. Even if it is without consideration, branch will pay tax to HO. Then will customer pay tax to branch?
Yes.
Yes. Then what branch will do is tax collected from customer minus tax paid to HO. That is what branch will do. So branch will give. So for example, here in this case, branch has collected GST of, let us say, 100 rupees from customer, right? And then branch has paid branch has paid 80 rupees GST to its head office. Correct? Branch only needs to pay what? Branch only needs to pay additional 20 rupees to the government. So branch was collecting 100 rupees from its customers, right? Branch was collecting 100 rupees from its customer. Okay. So in that case, this 80 rupees GST will be allowed to be set off. Okay. And branch only needs to pay 20 rupees GST to the government. Okay. So eventually what happens? Branch is only charged GST for value addition. That's why this exception rule has been put. Stock transfer from HO to branch, even if it has no consideration, even if there is no consideration, still it will be treated as supply and GST will be charged. Okay. Understood this exception?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next we have already seen gift by employer to employee. It's a gift. If it's a gift, it is for free, it is without consideration. But if the gift is for more than 50,000, again it is a gift, right? So a company has given its employee a gift of 80,000 rupees. Okay, it will be subject to GST, even though it is not for a consideration. Our condition was supply should be for a consideration, right? There should be money when there is supply. Okay, but here there was no money involvement. Employer has given it for free. Still GST will be charged. Why? Because it exceeds our amount. There will be GST.
Sir,
Yes.
if the gift is more than 50,000, then is the GST applied on the total amount or the difference?
GST will be on the total amount. So it is not that 50,000 will be deducted. So if let us say the employer gives me 50,000 and 1 rupee. 1 rupee as a token. In Hindi we call it as shagun, right? So 50,000 and 1 rupee. Entire GST will be collected on 50,001. Okay. And if only it is for 50,000, exactly for 50,000, no GST. Exactly for 49,000, no GST. Okay. 60,000, entire 60,000 will be chargeable under GST.
Okay, sir.
All right.
So, sir, in that case, the payer would be the employer.
Payer will be.
The employer will pay.
So what employer will do? Employer will collect GST from the customer and pay it to the government. Employer will collect GST from the customer and pay it to the government.
So, but here it's the employee, right? Just giving him as a gift.
So for example, I am the employer, okay, and Alina is the employee. Okay. So I gave you a gift of 1 lakh. I gave a laptop of 1 lakh as a gift. I'm not going to give you, I'm just taking a hypothetical example. Okay. I'm giving you a gift of 1 lakh laptop, MacBook of 1 lakh. I've given you as a gift. Generally in the outside market, what is the GST on MacBook? 18%. Let us say it is 18%. Okay. So even though Alina received 1 lakh MacBook for free, still Alina will have to pay what? Alina will have to pay 1 lakh into 18%. 18,000 GST Alina will pay to me, her employer, and I will pay that 18,000 further to the government.
Okay, yeah, got it.
So, but if it's a gift, then why will the employee pay for it? Like even the GST?
Because government says, why are you gifting so much to your employees? Okay. Why are you gifting so much to your employees? Must be that you are trying to evade tax through certain ways. So we are allowing a gift of 50,000, and this 50,000 is only for 1 year, na? In one financial year, in 1 year. Next year again you can give gift of 50,000, no problem. Government has no problem with it. So if you are giving a gift of, let us say 1 lakh, or let us say gift of 90,000, if you divide it in 2 years, 45,000 in 1 year, 45,000 in the second year, no problem. There will be no GST. See, otherwise what will happen? Everything that employer gives to the employee, okay, they will start treating it as a gift, okay, and there will be no tax collection. So government does not want that. That's why they have put in a limit. Okay. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There is one more exception to this rule. Which rule we are doing right now? Which condition we are doing, guys?
So no consideration.
Supply should be for consideration. Okay. Generally, if there is no consideration, there is no supply. No supply, it's no GST. But in these cases, even if there is no consideration, right? Still, it will be treated as supply. Still, it will be treated as supply, and GST will be charged. GST will be charged. All right. Okay, next. Let us do the next exception now. Not the next rule. For the same condition of consideration, let us do the next exception. Okay. Supply is made to related person without consideration. Okay, we are supplying the goods or we are supplying the services, but that supply is made to related person without consideration. Okay, this will be treated as supply, and GST will be charged. What is the logic? Why government is doing like this? The important part is related person. Here the important part is related person. This only happens in case of related person. Yes. Who is a related person? Can I say my brother is a related person? Everyone agrees? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now what I'm doing is I'm a computer trader. Okay. I'm a computer trader. Right. I'm a computer trader and I'm selling computers to customers and charging, let us say, GST of 18%. Right. Now what I'm doing is I'm selling a laptop to my brother. Okay. And obviously, since he's my brother, I'm not charging anything. Okay. So I'm not charging anything. So I say no consideration is equal to no supply is equal to no GST. What will the government say? In this case, what will the government say?
So that I'm trying to evade tax.
Correct, because then all my brother's friends, pay attention, all my brother's friends will try to take laptop from me, correct? And they will say that I am selling the laptop to my brother, correct? And they are just taking it from my brother, right? So in that case, no one will start paying GST in that case. Okay. So even if you are selling the laptop for 0 rupees, okay, even if you are selling the laptop for 0 rupees, you still have to pay GST. Is this clear? GST will be paid on the market value of laptop into 18%. GST will be paid market value of the laptop into 18%. So it is another example of gift, right? It is another example of gift. But here there is no limit of 50,000. Okay. So in these three cases, even if there is no consideration, what is happening? GST is being charged. Then in all other cases, if there is no consideration, there will be no GST. In all other cases, if there is no consideration, there will be no GST. Only in these three exceptions, companies or the persons will have to collect GST.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes, we shall go ahead.
Sir, what about the shaguns in marriages?
What about that?
Will there be a GST for that?
Again, if it is, see, now see, the shagun in marriages, it's not for the furtherance of business, na? Is it your business to give shaguns to your relatives in marriage? No, na? So second conditions comes into picture. Supply should be for the furtherance of business. If there is no furtherance of business, it does not come under GST. It does not come under GST. Is this clear?
Yeah.
Okay. I think there is one more doubt. Sir, should all the conditions be fulfilled for supply definition or only one? Yes, all conditions, all conditions together should be fulfilled. So condition 1 and condition 2 and condition 3, all conditions put together, then only we'll see whether it amounts to supply or not.
Sir, I have a question.
Ha.
Sir, if supposing the supplier is giving laptops at a discounted price, then GST will be charged on.
If the discounted price is, I got it. If the discounted price is more than 50,000, it is a gift of more than 50,000, GST will be charged.
So it doesn't matter what the discounted price is. It has GST is on the market value.
See, market value was 1 lakh. Market value of the laptop was 1 lakh, and employer is selling it to employee for, let us say, only 20,000. How much is the gift value? 80,000, right? 80,000 means what? More than 50,000. So it will be treated as supply. It will be GST will be levied. GST will be levied.
GST sir will be on 80,000 or 1 lakh only?
Gift value. It will be on the gift value.
Sir, so it will be on 30,000, which is above 50,000?
No. Whenever the gift goes above 50,000, the entire amount is taxable. Okay, if the gift is 60,000, entire 60,000 is taxable. So it is not that only amount above 50,000 is taxable. That's not the concept. Okay, even if it is 50,000 and 100 rupees, GST will be charged on the entire 50,000 100 rupees. Okay, done. All doubts clear till here? Any other doubt, guys? Any other doubt? So we are looking at conditions of supply. Till now, guys, just to revise quickly. There are a lot of conditions, lot of conditions with lot of exceptions. What was the first condition? Tell me quickly. Supply should be for goods and services. What does not come under goods and services?
Money and securities.
Money and securities is by default excluded from definition.
Alcohol, petroleum, and electricity.
Alcohol, petrol, and electricity. These all do not come under goods and services. So on these 4, GST, there will be no supply, no GST. But on all other goods and services, there will be supply, there will be GST. Second condition was supply should be for
Furtherance of business.
Furtherance of business. Furtherance of business.
Or in course.
Or in course of business. So if it is for personal purpose, like Vishal took an example, right? If we are giving a gift or if we are giving goods on occasion of marriage of some person, that is not the furtherance of my business, right? That is not the furtherance of my business. Okay. So then there will be no GST. Okay. Number 3 was it should be for consideration. It should be for consideration. Okay. No consideration equal to no supply equal to no GST. Okay. But for that, again, there were exceptions. What were the 3 exceptions, guys? Tell me quickly.
The head office stock transfer to branch.
Correct. Stock transfer. I'll just call stock transfer. Second.
Related party.
Correct. Related party was one of them. Related party. And third one was employer. Employer and employee. Okay, done. First 3 conditions done, na?
Yes.
Okay. And all these conditions are and. Okay. First condition and second condition and third condition. So let us see fourth condition now. So today we are going to focus only on the concept of supply, okay? Because if all these conditions are not satisfied together, there is no concept of supply. And if there is no supply, entire GST is exempt. Entire GST is exempt. That's why people fight. That's why people fight with government that as per your definition, we are not satisfying one or two conditions. So we should not be treated as a supplier and therefore we should be exempted from GST. Okay, this happens a lot. This happens a lot. All right, next. Supply should be, next is very easy now. You guys will know. Supply should be in taxable territory. Means what? We have seen the definition today. Supply should be in taxable territory. Do we know what is a taxable territory?
Yes, so India and its waters.
Correct. Indian land and Indian territorial waters up to 12 nautical miles. Anything beyond that will not be treated as a taxable territory. It will not be treated as a taxable territory. Okay, so for example, I'll take a simple example which you guys relate to. Okay, so my company is a water sports activity is involved in the business of, let us say, water sports activities. Okay, and one of my customer wants to do deep water scuba diving outside 27 nautical miles outside India. 27 nautical miles outside India. What will happen? This is a service, right? Because it is for the furtherance of my business. I am a company into water sports activities. So giving scuba diving services is for the furtherance of my business. I am charging consideration also. But the service is given where? It is given 27 nautical miles outside India. It is not given in any other country. It is not given in any other country. It is given outside India, but outside 27 nautical miles. So in this case, even though there is supply of goods and service, there is consideration, correct? And it is for furtherance of business, still there will be no GST charged in India. Simple example. Yes or
Sir,
no?
no GST till 12 nautical miles also.
Correct. Till 12 nautical miles, GST will be there. Further than 12 nautical miles, no GST.
So will excise duty or something be charged?
No. There will be no custom duty also. Customs is only charged on goods. Okay. So here there will be nothing. But now guys, see, again, what I will have to be careful is what is the place of supply. Okay. I am going to teach this entire chapter later on. What is the place of supply? I am going to teach this entire chapter later on. Let us say the registered person, that is the person taking the scuba diving services, was located in Pondicherry, and the company which is providing scuba diving services is also located in Pondicherry. Then that time place of supply will not be this 27 nautical miles. The place of supply will be Pondicherry, and then GST will be charged. That's why place of supply rules we'll see later on. Whether the place of supply falls in Indian territory or not. Okay, so if the company is seller, okay, then your customer is seller. Tax invoice is also an Indian tax invoice, and the registered business is also in India. If all four conditions are satisfied, then even in this example, GST will be coming. GST will be charged. Okay, because for that the concept of place of supply will become important. All right. Done till here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next. Number 5. Supply should be to a taxable person. We have seen that definition also. Supply should be supply should be to a taxable person. What is a taxable person? We have seen individual, HUF. Okay, all these are taxable persons.
So who is not a taxable person? Because if you
now we'll see the other way around. We have seen about employer to employee. We have seen. Okay, now services provided by salaried employer to an employee. Okay, so for example, you guys are auditors of ENY. You guys are acting as auditors of ENY. Okay, and ENY is giving you salary on monthly basis. You are on the payroll of ENY. Okay, now if you are on the payroll of ENY, you and ENY become the same person. Even though you are providing services, you will not collect GST from ENY. See if this example is clear. I'll take two examples. I'll take two examples. Example one, let us say Mr. Aditya. Mr. Aditya is a chartered accountant. Is a chartered accountant having own firm, having an own firm. Okay, provides audit services to ENY. ENY for 40,000 payment, right? Should Mr. Aditya charge GST? He is not working for ENY. No? He is not working for ENY. He is what? He is having a own firm. He's provided audit services to ENY for 40,000. Here what will happen? Taxable person is different. Taxable person is different, right? So therefore GST will be applicable. GST will be applicable. Okay. Example number two. Example two is that let us say Aman is employee of ENY. Employee of ENY. Okay. He is providing again same audit services to ENY. Correct. And ENY is paying him salary of 40,000 per month. 40,000 same. Now what will happen? Here the taxable person is not different, so no GST. So no GST. So supply should be supply should be to a different taxable person. It will make more sense. Supply should be to a different taxable person. So if this example is clear. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Done. Next. One more example is there. We'll see that also. Supply should be a taxable supply. This is very important. Huh? One whole chapter is there for this concept. Supply should be a taxable supply. Okay. So what is a taxable supply? What is a taxable supply? Government has given a list. Government has given list. Okay. Lists, multiple lists they have given. Government has given multiple lists, such as like negative list and exemption list. Exemption list. Okay. If your supply, if your service or if your goods falls under negative list, or it falls under exemption list, it is not a taxable supply. Okay. It is not a taxable supply. If it falls under negative list and exemption list. So government has given huge lists. Okay. You have different chapter for negative list, for exemption list. Okay. So if your goods or if your services, the goods or service that you provide falls under negative list, exemption list we can see later on. Okay. Today we can see negative list, no problem. Exemption list we can see it later on. If your supply falls under negative list, it is not a taxable supply. You are by default, let go by the government. government will say this kind of supply we do not consider under GST. We do not consider under the GST. Understood? Negative list is different. Taxable list is exempt list is different. Okay. Negative list means it is not taxable. Exempt list means it is taxable, but GST is 0. I'll give the difference. Negative list means goods and services are not taxable at all. Not taxable only. Sorry, what happened? Okay. So negative list means goods and services are not taxable at all. No tax, absolutely no tax. And exemption list means what? Exemption list means it is taxable. It is taxable. But right now, the tax rate is 0. So it can be further amended. In budget, it can be amended and it can be made taxable. Understood the difference between negative list and exemption list? Negative list does not come under GST only. It will not come under GST. Government says these specific negative list transactions do not fall under GST. Exemption means it falls under GST. It is taxable, but right now tax rate is 0. So in both of them, tax is 0, right? In both of them, tax is 0.
So,
Okay,
so then what is taxable supply? Like what will come under?
Which does not fall under negative list, which does not fall under
Okay.
negative list will come under taxable supply.
And what about exemption list? And if it falls under exemption list, then also
It is taxable. It is taxable, but tax rate is 0.
okay. Sir.
Okay, so in every budget there is amendment, right? There is amendment in every budget. So in the next budget, this can be made taxable. In the next budget, this can be made taxable. Okay, but negative list, it is never made taxable, irrespective of which government comes, irrespective of which budget comes. So if it is clear. So negative list, you guys will have to learn. Negative list, you guys will have to learn. So I'll show the negative list now. I'll show you guys the negative list. It's not a big list. It's not a big list. All right, let us check and we'll see. Okay, you guys can see this negative list over here on the left hand side. Can you see this marked in blue?
Yes, sir.
So
Okay, so these are the goods or transactions. These are the goods or transactions, goods or services. Okay, they will be for consideration. They will be for furtherance of business. Correct, but still they will what? They will not fall under GST. They will not fall under GST. Okay, so these are non-taxable. These goods and services are non-taxable. Some of them we are already covered. Okay, some of them we are already covered above. Let us see. Services provided by employee to employer in course of his employment. We just saw that, correct? Services provided by employee to employer, they are not taxable. Gift from employer to employee above 50,000 is taxable, but below 50,000 will not be taxable. Below 50,000 will be not taxable. So employer-employee thing we have covered. There is no doubt in that, na? I have taken an example of that, employer-employee. So employer-employee falls under your negative list. Next, services by court or tribunal under any law for time being in force. So if High Court hears your case, right? High Court gives decision and the fees of the High Court is, let us say, 5,000. Will the High Court charge 5,000 GST on 5,000? No, High Court will not charge GST on 5,000. But now guys, pay attention. You had appointed a lawyer to fight for you in the High Court, and the lawyer is charging a fee of 1 lakh. Now,
Yes, GST
then
will
it
be
will be
more.
taxable. Huh? So this is the difference. You cannot say that services provided in the court are exempt, are not taxable. You cannot say that. Huh? Services provided by the court, services provided by the court or the tribunal, are not taxable. Understood both examples? The difference between the two examples?
Yes.
So any services provided in the court other than by High Court or Supreme Court or local court. So if a lawyer provides you service in the court, that will be taxable under GST. But the fees charged by the High Court itself will not be covered under GST, because High Court is for the service of the people. So there will be no GST. Next, third, this is a negative list. Huh? This is a negative list. Anything which is not covered under negative list will be a taxable supply. Anything which is not covered under negative list will be a taxable supply. Functions performed by MPs, MLAs, members of panchayat, municipalities, and legislative assemblies. Okay, so member of parliaments, member of legislative assemblies, member of panchayats, and municipalities. They are apparently for the service of people, right? So any services provided by them is not, even if they charge the amount, it is not taxable under GST. All right, next. Duties performed by any person who holds any post as per the constitution. So any post which is held as per the constitution, example, High Court judge, correct? Again, the same thing, example, MPs, MLAs, President of India. Okay, any person who is holding any post as per constitution, any services provided by that person will not be taxable supply, will not be a taxable supply. Is this clear to everyone?
Yes.
Sir, can you zoom in the
Okay,
negative?
I'll zoom in a bit. You will have to learn this taxable supply, negative list, because anything which is not under negative list will become a taxable supply. Anything which is not under a negative list will become a taxable supply. All right, next. Duties performed by chairperson, member, director in a body established by central government, state government. Again, the same thing, correct? Any duties performed by any person of this government, right? MPs, MLAs, panchayats, constitutions, courts, okay? All that will come under negative list. Okay, so point number 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. Point number 2, 3, 4, 5 is all about your government employees, right? This is all about government employees providing services to the people. Okay, this is about government employees providing service to the people. It is not taxable. Okay, next. Now guys, pay attention. Huh? I'll give you an example, you guys tell me. Huh? I'll give you an example, you guys tell me whether it is taxable or not. There is a MP, there's a member of parliament, okay, who provides services in the parliament and charges, let us say, sitting fees of 2,000 rupees. That is one example. A member of parliament provides services in parliament and charges sitting fees of 2,000 rupees. The same member of parliament has his own consultancy firm and charges outsiders 2,000 per consultation fee. 2,000 rupees fee per consultation. Which one is taxable? Which one is not taxable?
Second one is taxable.
Correct. First one is not taxable because it is provided as a member of parliament for the people. Correct. And second one, he's just providing as a professional. So second one will be taxable. Huh? Okay. So guys, you have to keep in mind all these examples that I'm giving. Learning the entire supply conditions with the help of condition will be difficult, but if you learn them with the help of examples, it will be a bit easier. Okay, next is logical. Okay, funeral, burial, crematorium or mortuary services plus transportation of a deceased person. If someone is dying, obviously we are not going to collect GST from that. All right. So any kind of funeral burial services provided, GST will not be collected. People will start beating you up. Next, sale of land. Why sale of land? Why sale of land is not taxable? Any reason? Give me a reason. Sale of land is not taxable. Why?
So it's not a movable property.
Perfect. See, sale of land is not a service. First of all, sale of land is not a service. Now we have to see if sale of land is a good. Good means all movable property. Correct? Land is not a movable property. So sale of land is not taxable under GST. Simple. But sale of building will be taxable. Why? Building is also immovable property, no? Building is also immovable property.
But we can deconstruct it, right?
We can?
But we can demolish it.
Okay. Let me give you example. Let me give you example. If you are purchasing a flat which is ready-made by the builder. So you are purchasing a building. Let us say you are purchasing a building, okay, which is ready-made by the builder. So you are purchasing a building, right? Will there be GST or will there not be GST?
While the building is being made, the builder also has to give GST to various services like architects, the workmen, and all that.
So here should the builder collect GST or not?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And if I purchased a plot, land plot, right? Purchase a land, and then what is happening? Builder is building it, or let us say then we build it. We build the building on the land. Now, should we pay GST while purchasing the land? Should we pay GST while purchasing the land? No, because land is now what? Land is now an immovable property, so will not pay GST on immovable property. Okay, so that is the entire concept. That's why it will be under negative list. Okay, done. Next, actionable claims other than lottery, betting and gambling. So lottery, betting and gambling will be subject to GST. Lottery, betting and gambling will be subject to GST. Correct? But other actionable claims, I have filed a court case, right? And I have, let us say I have won the case and I am getting my compensation, right? That is an actionable claim that will not attract GST. Okay, that will not attract GST. But all other actionable claims, but lottery, betting and gambling, it will attract GST. Okay, so actionable claims will come under negative list. It will not be a taxable supply, but lottery, betting and gambling will be a taxable supply. Okay, done. Next, grant of alcoholic liquor license by the government. Again, alcohol and liquor does not fall under GST. That's why they are coming under the negative list. They are not taxable, sir. Taxable supply. This is again the same thing. Services by panchayat or municipality. It's covered over here. Same thing. All right. Then this last part is important. Interstate movement of modes of conveyance between distinct persons, including trains, buses, trucks, tankers, trailers, vessels, containers, aircraft, for carrying goods or passengers or both, or for repairs and maintenance. Okay. So if you are moving actual trains, buses, trucks, tankers, if you are moving these vehicles, okay, then they will come under your negative list. But if you are just selling a train, if you are selling a bus, you are selling a truck, then that will not come under negative list. That will be taxable. Understood the negative list, guys? Everyone has understood the negative list? So anything which is not under negative list will become a taxable supplier. Anything which is not under the negative list will become a taxable supply. Okay.
So, but sale of building, like you said, we charge GST on it. It comes under the negative list.
So that's what I'm saying. Sale of building will be in two parts. Na? Sale of building, it will be in two parts. If the entire building has been sold, right? If you are purchasing the entire building, it will not come under GST. But if you have a contract with the builder to get it built, correct, then there will be GST. Then there will be GST.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So if you directly purchase a flat, if you directly purchase a ready-made flat, okay, then it is a different case. And if you customize and make it, then it's a different case. All right. So these are what are these? What have we learned till now? We have learned about different conditions of supply. If all these conditions come together, then only there will be supply. Otherwise, there will not be a supply. No supply equal to no GST. No supply equal to no GST. Understood all conditions, guys? So what they will do, guys, pay attention. Huh? What they will do is in your exam, they will give specific transactions with specific amount. Okay, they will give transactions with specific amount, and then you have to decide which amounts are taxable. Okay, which amounts there will be GST and on which amounts there will not be a GST. Okay, and then you will have to calculate total GST collectible or total GST payable. Okay, so we can do one question on that. Okay, I can give that question for you guys for homework. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So that I'll also understand whether you guys are understanding this or not. Okay, in the beginning, guys, pay attention. In the beginning, it is a bit confusing that what is supply, what is not supply. Okay, but when you start reading more and more, within couple of days, you start understanding the exact concept of GST. All right. So let us go through the conditions. Huh? What are the conditions to satisfy a supply?
Supply should be of
You have to tell me with exceptions. Huh? You have to tell me with exceptions. Number one, supply should be for
goods and services.
Should be for goods and services. So this does not cover alcohol, petrol, electricity, and money and securities. Money and securities. Done. Number two, supply should be
For the further
correct for furtherance of business. Supply should be for furtherance of business. So it should not include personal supply. Correct. Anything supplied for personal purposes, will not come under supply. Number three,
supply should be for a consideration.
Consideration. What is not consideration? Sorry, even if there is no consideration, there are exceptions to this rule. What are the exceptions?
Stock transfer from head office to branch.
Okay, exceptions.
Gift and supply made to related person.
Stock transfer, gift by employer to employee. But you have to write it down. Employee more than
50,000.
50K, and then
related person.
Correct. Supply to related person. So in these three exceptional cases, even if there is no consideration, still there will be GST. Otherwise, the concept is no consideration, no GST. Next, condition number 4.
Taxable territory. Supply should be
in taxable territory. So for that, we'll learn something called as place of supply. For that, so we'll learn something called as place of supply. Oops, Terry. Whatever, yaar. I am completely missing out the spelling. Array? Okay. Then next condition, supply
Taxable person.
should be to a different taxable person. Okay. So supply by employer to supply by employee to its employer. They are the same person, right? They are the same person. It will be not treated as supply. Okay. Then again the same thing. Same example can I take? Supply by a partner to its partnership firm. Supply of services by a partner to its partnership firm. Will it be considered as supply?
Yes.
Yes. Is it to a different taxable person? A partner is giving consultancy services to his own partnership firm, to other partners. No, it will not be a
Not
supply.
taxable. Yeah, not
It will not be a supply. Okay, next. What is the next condition?
Supply should be taxable. Supply.
Should be a taxable supply that is not covered under negative list. And we have also seen what all is covered under negative list. Okay, negative list is pretty logical. Okay, negative list is pretty logical. Okay, you don't need to actually mug it up. Right? So these are the conditions to satisfy supply. Okay, if all conditions are satisfied, what will happen? Then only there is supply, and then only we will see how to charge GST. Then our section 3 will start. How to actually charge the GST. See if you understood till here. Any doubt? Anyone has any doubt? Okay, clear. Now let us see some additional definitions that we'll need. We still have time, right? We still have some time left. So we'll see some additional definitions. All right. I've listed them down in your syllabus. Hey, where is the syllabus gone? Because we don't have enough time to do one more concept. So what we'll do is we'll look at different definitions. Numericals will be there on this concept that we have studied. On the concept that we have studied, there will be numericals that the question will have different types of transactions, and you guys have to decide which amounts to supply, which does not amount to supply. So that I'll give it as a homework on the WhatsApp group. Okay, you guys will try that. All right. So now let us see some definitions, some additional definitions that we need to do. Okay. So we have seen the any doubt? कुछ doubt है क्या किसको? Okay. So we have seen the concept of consideration. What is consideration? What is not consideration? Now one thing, guys. When we talk about consideration, pay attention. So where is my word file gone? Okay. So when I talk about consideration, does consideration mean only monetary consideration, or does it also mean non-monetary consideration? What do you guys think?
Both.
What is a non-monetary consideration? Both is correct answer. What is a non-monetary? Gift is not a non-monetary consideration. Gift means there is no consideration. So what does a non-monetary consideration mean?
In kind.
In kind, correct. Or we can say barter.
Barter system.
Right. So Mr. A, let us say, supplied goods worth rupees 1 lakh to Mr. B. Okay, so Mr. A is a trader. Trader supplied goods worth rupees 1 lakh to Mr. B. Okay, and Mr. B, in case of Mr. B, what he did? Mr. B paid. Instead of paying, Mr. B, instead of paying 1 lakh, instead of paying the entire 1 lakh, what Mr. B did? Mr. B provided services worth 1 lakh to Mr. A. 1 lakh to Mr. A. Should there be GST? Should there be GST in this case? Let us say GST rate is 18%. GST rate is 18%.
Yes, so GST.
Who will pay GST to whom? Who will pay GST to whom? At what rate? In the above example.
B will pay to A for the goods and A will pay to B for
Perfect. Both of them will have to pay if it is a barter. Barter is a non-monetary consideration, right? I am supplying you goods, you are supplying me services. Okay. If both of them say that this is a non-monetary consideration, GST is not applicable. That is wrong. Okay. So Mr. A is selling goods to Mr. B, correct? So he collects GST on goods, correct? And Mr. B, instead of paying 1 lakh cash, Mr. B, what is Mr. B doing? Mr. B is providing services to Mr. A. So Mr. B collects what? Collects GST on services. Collects the GST on services. If this is clear, the concept of consideration. So consideration can be monetary consideration or consideration can be non-monetary consideration. Still, GST will have to be collected. If it was allowed that you can do barter and there is no GST, then everyone will do the same thing. So I'll purchase mobile. I'll purchase from a mobile from a person, right? And instead of paying him, I'll say send your whatever, boy or girl, send your child to my class, and I'll not charge fees. Correct? So that is wrong. So here the trader will also not collect GST. Me as a service provider will also not collect GST. That will be wrong from the point of view of the government. Right? So any kind of monetary consideration or non-monetary consideration, GST has to be paid. GST has to be paid. Understood the concept of consideration? Okay, next definition that you guys need is, okay, that is important one. Input, so not input, inward supply and inward GST. And similarly, the next concept is outward supply and outward GST. Very important. I'll give numerical example on this. Inward supply and inward GST, outward supply and outward GST, and then comes the concept of input tax credit. Okay. Now guys, pay attention. This is a very common.
all this is a part of section 2.
No, this is all part of different kind of, yes. So it will be a definition, but it will be in different chapters.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So inward supply, you don't need to remember the section numbers, guys. That's okay. For BCom level, remembering section numbers is not that important. If you want, the section numbers are there in the notes. All right. So now see, what is the inward supply? What is the inward GST? What is the outward supply? What is the outward GST? Inward GST is also called as input GST. Outward supply, outward GST is also called as output GST. And then there is something called as input tax credit. So this kind of question will always be asked in the exam. Will always be asked in the exam. Let us take an example. So let us say Mr. who I can see now, Mr. Atharva is a manufacturer who sells goods worth 100,000 to, let us say, Miss Avantika, a retail trader, retail trader, and collects GST worth, let us say, 18%. Collects GST worth 18%. Now, Miss Avantika sells goods further to her customers at rupees 1,50,000, 1 lakh, let us say 25,000. So she is selling with a profit margin of 25%, right? She is selling with a profit margin of 25%. So Miss Avantika sells goods further to her customers at rupees 1,25,000 and collects GST at 18%. Okay. Will Miss Avantika get any input tax credit? Will be your question. Will Miss Avantika get any input tax credit? Will be the question. Hey, who is this Redmi Note 7 Pro? I am muting you. Still, you are unmuting yourself. Okay. Let us check now. So now we are thinking from Miss Avantika's point of view. Has Miss Avantika had any inward supply? Supply can be purchased, supply can be sold. Is there any inward supply for Miss Avantika?
Yes.
Yes, goods worth rupees 1 lakh will be inward supply in the books of Avantika, and the input GST she pays. Input GST Avantika pays will be how much?
18,000.
Correct. 100,000 into 18%. 100,000 into 18%. 18,000 will be the input GST. Correct. Now, what is the outward supply for Avantika?
1,25,000.
Correct. Outward supply is 1,25,000. So she will collect output GST. Correct. Avantika pays input GST to Atharva. Correct. And Avantika collects output GST from customers, which is, so it is collected, and that comes to 1,25,000 into 18%. How much that comes to? 1,25,000 into 18%. Kitna aata hai? Do it. 22,500. 22,500. So 22,500 is the output GST on outward supply, right? We are thinking from Avantika's point of view. So 22,500 is the output GST on outward supply, and 18,000 is the input GST on inward supply. So Avantika has collected 22,500 from the government, and Avantika has already paid 18,000 to Mr. Atharva. So now, how much should Avantika pay to the government?
4,500.
Correct. So Avantika will pay 22,500 minus already paid to Atharva. How much? 18,000. Correct. So she will pay only 4,500 to the government. Right. This 18,000 is what? Is input tax credit claimed by Avantika. It will be input tax credit claimed by Avantika. See if this whole example is clear.
So what if she sells it at a loss?
So she sells it at a loss, she will collect lesser GST, right? So let us say if she sells it at 95,000, okay, 95,000 into 18%. So how much that comes to? 17,100. 17,100. So now what she will do? 17,100 is from one customer, right? 17,100 is from one customer. In the next transaction, in the same way, in the next transaction, she paid 1 lakh, right? She paid 1 lakh and collected 1,25,000. Correct. So next time what is happening? 25,000 is the profit, Okay, so all the transactions in our books during the month will be totaled, and then we'll see whether there is a whether output GST is more or input GST is more. So in this case, what will happen is there will be no ITC, right? So in this case, your ITC will be 18,000. You can claim 18,000. You can claim 18,000. Okay, but the remaining 1,100 will appear in the books of accounts. Appear in the books of accounts of Avantika. Okay, she does not have to pay to the government because she has collected only 17,100. So she will pay only 17,100. Okay, and this 1,100 ITC she has not collected, na? Sorry, not 1,100. How much? 900. 900 she can adjust against her next sale. 900 she can adjust against her next sale. So in this sale, she will pay only in this sale, in the current sale, okay, Avantika only pays 17,100 to the government, pays 17,100 to the government. Okay, so there is no, in short, there is no input tax credit over here. And then in the next month, if her output GST is more, she can, what she can do, she can recover this 900 from that. The remaining 900 she can recover in the next month's GST returns. Is this clear?
Sir, till when is the class?
Huh?
Till what time is the class?
Class got ended. It's about to end now.
Okay, sir.
You joined now?
No, sir. It exceeded the time, so I was asking.
Okay. So we'll stop for today, and then we'll continue tomorrow, guys. What is the timing for you guys? Saturday.
Can you scroll down?
I'll scroll up. First, let us have the doubts for this. Yes. Any doubt, Vishal?
No, sir.
Okay. So this example I've changed as per Gauri's this thing doubt. So in this case, we pay only 18,000. Sorry, this was how much coming to how much? 22,500, no? 22,500. In the current sale, Avantika only pays 4,500 to the government. She has got an ITC of 18,000. She has got an input tax rate of 18,000. So that is the concept of input GST. Input GST is on purchase, output GST is on sale, right? And whatever you have paid as input GST, you will get it as an input tax credit. You will get it as an input tax credit because you have already paid that amount, right? Avantika has already paid 18,000 GST. Okay, so she will not pay 22,500 again. She has collected 22,500. But she will not pay 22,500 again. She'll only pay 4,500 to the government. But for this, Avantika has to be a registered dealer. What is registered dealer? We'll see next time. Understood these three definitions?
Sir,
go ahead.
Sir, let then we can say that the taxes will be.
Your voice is breaking, Vishal. Can you repeat? Or can you put it in the group chat? If
So we can say that taxes will be charged on the profit, not losses, right?
No, it's not about profit or loss. See. Just a last 5 minutes, guys. We'll solve this doubt. Then we'll end. I'll just open up an Excel sheet so that it's clear, it's better understanding for you guys. Okay. So 1 lakh was my purchase. Okay. GST rate was what? GST rate was 18%. Okay. And GST, actual GST is called as what? Input GST. because on purchase I'll pay input GST. Input GST is 18,000 already paid to our supplier. Already paid to our supplier, right? Now I am doing a sale of 1,25,000. Okay, and GST rate is what? Again 18%. GST rate is again 18%. Okay, so what is the output GST collected? Output GST is 22,500 that I am collecting from my customer. Whatever I have collected from my customer, I'll have to pay to the government. No, whatever I have collected from my customer, I'll have to pay to the government. Correct? But I don't pay 22,500. I only pay 22,500 minus 18,000. Okay, so this is called as input GST, right? Marked in red is the input GST. Okay, marked in blue is the output GST. Okay, and marked in, let us say, green is my actual GST I paid to the government. Is the actual GST that I paid to the government. So government is saying if you have already paid 18,000 earlier, you don't need to pay 22,500 again on the entire transaction. Is this clear? Okay. Meanwhile,
But in total, you're paying 22,500 irrespective.
Correct. Irrespective, you are paying 22,500. Okay. But see what happens. This should be for the furtherance of business. This should be for the furtherance of business. Okay. So for example, see the example. See why input GST is so important. Okay. Let us say I have purchased mobile for personal purpose. I have purchased a mobile for personal purpose. 1 lakh into 18%. Input GST is 18,000. Okay. And this sale is not related. The mobile phone, the purchase of phone is not related to anything for processing towards the sale. Then you will not get to deduct 22,500 minus 18,000. Okay, but the customer, the person will say, I use this phone not only for personal purpose, I use it for official purpose also. I use it to call my customers. So then government will have to give this 18,000 as GST. But if in some case, if the purchase of input tax, purchase of inward supply is not related to the processing of outward supply, this 18,000 has been paid separately, and this 22,500 will have to be paid separately. If this is clear.
So the input tax credit will be 18,000, right?
Input tax credit in this example,
Yeah.
in this example, there will be no input tax credit, because if you are purchasing anything for personal purpose, that input GST you cannot claim against output GST.
Okay, sir.
Example, let us not take the mobile example. Let us say I have eaten in a restaurant. Okay, and the bill in that month, monthly bill is, let us say, 10,000. Okay, and GST paid is what? 1,800. So this is an input GST for me. Right? Because I have purchased something, I've taken something, and I paid GST. Right? So 1,800 is the input GST. Okay. Now unrelated to anything, what I am doing is I am taking a class. Okay, and I am collecting GST from students. Okay. Total class fees, let us say, of all students put together, let us say the total class is 12,000 rupees. And GST is collected at 18%. Okay, so 12,000 into 18%. So here output GST is 2,160. Now what will happen? Will I get input tax credit?
No, sir.
Should I pay 2,160 minus 1,800, or should I pay the entire 2,160?
The entire.
my question was, in this case, right? I have already paid 1800 as GST. I have already paid 1800 as GST, right? And now I have collected 2160 GST from the students. So how much should I pay to the government? 2160 or only 360?
2160.
Yes, 2160. I'll have to pay the entire thing because this input GST is nowhere related to the output GST. You will get the input tax credit. You will get the input tax credit only if input GST and output GST are related to each other. Done. Doubts are clear now?
Yes, sir.
All right. So tomorrow, let's discuss about tomorrow. Tomorrow, should we take at 4 or should we take it earlier?
So at 3 on the weekend
Please,
because
sir.
I have open mic in college, so we have to do.
Anyone has a problem with 3? Anyone has a problem coming at 3 o'clock?
Yes, sir. Could you
Yes.
please take it at 4?
Okay, then see, guys, I had told you 4 o'clock, so we'll stick to 4 o'clock. Only if everyone is agreeing, then only we can change the time. Huh? Okay, so we'll stick to 4. We'll stick to 4 to 6. Tomorrow also 4 to 6. Day after tomorrow also, Sunday also will take 4 to 6. Okay, and this is just the start, guys. This is just the start. Tomorrow and day after we'll go into further details. We'll go into the further details tomorrow and day after, and then you will start understanding the whole connection between supply, taxes, and your input GST and output GST. Okay, so you'll have to stick with me for the first 3 or 4 days. For the first 3 or 4 days, you'll have to stick with me to understand the interconnection between all these definitions, supply and levy. Okay, then once we go on discussing this every day, we will be discussing the same things for GST. Then you'll get the hang of it. All right, so I'll end the meeting now and we'll directly meet tomorrow at 4. We'll directly meet tomorrow at 4.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, no problem.
Yes, sure. Thank you, sir.
And should I give a homework for today?
No.
All right. Okay. Not the first day. I'll not give it.
No,
on the
sir.
first day.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Okay. Sure. So I'll leave the meeting then.